In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, you know, they would not do it again so easily. USA! USA!
We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Racism we know exists.
Now to a deadly shooting that's inflamed racial tensions in a Georgia community.
23-year-old Elijah McClain was out buying iced tea.
For 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Can you imagine that?
Today I want to say to the people of America and the nations of the world, we are on the move now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we're on the move, and no wave of racism can stop us.
Racism did not just magically appear with Donald Trump's presidency. No, he merely emboldened racists to march and not be ashamed of who they are.
His philosophy was simple, but resonated powerfully. Never lose your sense of self-respect. Always consider what may be bigger than yourself.
The lifelong fight against racism is as much the legacy of Bill Russell than is his championships. He faced it head on. He was born in West Monroe, Louisiana, the segregated South. When black families like the Russells moved to Oakland, white families moved out. They migrated west after his dad, Charlie, was denied a raise because he was black. On the court, Russell endured racial slurs even if he was arguably the country's most iconic winner.
She said the important thing is not whether you won or lost, but the willingness to fight for yourself.
At the University of San Francisco, Russell was a pioneer. He, along with teammates Hal Perry and Casey Jones, broke the unwritten 2 black max rule, marking the first time 3 black players started together, winning titles in 55 and 56. In 54, Russell and the black players were denied housing in Oklahoma City for a Christmas tournament. In the same city, Russell, along with his black teammates, had coins thrown at them during practice.
I said, this is a restaurant, isn't it? I'd like to get something to eat. He told me no, so I walked out.
He was denied service in Lexington, Kentucky as a member of the Boston Celtics. Unafraid, he spoke out against all things great and small that bothered him. He wouldn't even show up at the Hall of Fame when he was inducted because he had concluded it was a racist institution. At Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech, there was Bill Russell, just feet away from the icon. He was, and still is to this day, fearless.
Medgar Evers, the NAACP secretary for Jackson, Mississippi, organizes boycotts of shops that enforce Jim Crow laws.
In 1963, Medgar Evers was shot and killed in front of his own home. He was assassinated by a white supremacist. By this time, Russell had won 5 championships. Still, Evers' brother Charles said he called me up and asked what he could do to help. Get down here, Evers told Russell, and we'll open one of the playgrounds and we'll have the first integrated basketball camp in Mississippi. When he did, there were Klansmen, members of the Ku Klux Klan, on the other side of the street, Evers said. It was totally segregated down here then, but because people like Bill were willing to come here and stand shoulder to shoulder with us, we knew we could change all of those silly laws. Standing side by side, he helped make all of the changes that have happened. If Bill would come back down here now, he wouldn't believe it was the same Mississippi. He supported Muhammad Ali's Vietnam draft refusal at the Cleveland Summit, alongside other prominent black athletes. He was the first NBA player to visit Africa, traveling with the U.S. State Department to conduct basketball clinics in Libya, Ethiopia, Guinea, and Liberia, where he invested in a rubber plantation that employed only Africans. A supporter of LGBTQ+ rights, he was notably, in a time when the white mainstream labeled Russell one word, he demanded another and embraced calling himself black. In Boston, he was never embraced because of the color of his skin. At one point, someone broke into his house, left racist graffiti on the walls, and defecated on the bed. He is the most daunting figure of dissent, taking a knee in his own home, the first black coach in all of American professional sports. Most importantly, he wanted to be treated as a person first, athlete second. We foolishly lionize athletes and make them heroes because they can hit a ball or catch one. The only athletes we should bother with attaching any particular importance to are those like Muhammad Ali, whom we can admire for themselves and not for their incidental athletic abilities. Pulitzer Prize winner Dave Moranis once said, "History writes people out of the story, and it's our job to write them back in. If you'd like to hear more thought-provoking content like TYT Sports on Facebook and to help in my journey to keep media independent, go to tyt.com/Rick.